I don't know what I'm doing. I think I did stuff right. I think I did. Damn, that was my nose, right? That was my nose! It is, what is today? Today's Wednesday. Yo, today's Wednesday. What's going on, K2 Genesis? What's up? I don't know what I'm doing, bro. But what's going on, bro? Thank you for dropping in, man. Thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. Man, I just realized some shit. Whoa, bro, this lying. This be lying right there. That should be lying. What's going on, Shadow? How you doing, bro? Thank you for dropping in, man. How's your day going, man? How's everybody's day going and shit, bro? How you doing, ma? How you doing, ma? Oh, I thought you said ma, man. I thought we was doing ma. I thought we was doing the ma thing. Never mind. Then you like kind of like, you know, switched it up on me and then you put man right there. Don't give me that shit, bro. Don't be giving me that shit, bro. I thought it was like, you know, what's up, ma? You're like, what's up, pa? What's going on, young love? Hola. What's going on, young love? You rewatched my last podcast on Facebook. Thanks so much for that, bro. What's going on, Retro? I haven't seen you in a while, Retro Daria Gaming. How you been, bro? How's everything? How's life? How's are you keeping everything coochie? You keeping everything coochie and shit? And young love, I looked on. Actually, I didn't even really look. I looked on Facebook, but I just couldn't. I couldn't figure out how to supposedly unblock you from Messenger. I couldn't. I don't know. And that's because I'm not technically illiterate. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I just couldn't fucking figure out how to unblock your ass on Facebook Messenger. You can't get over my hair? Why not? ¿Por qué no? ¿Por qué no? It's not like you haven't it's not like you see me every fucking day and shit. You know, you see me like once every fucking month and shit when you decide to tune in and shit, man. You making a game for Nintendo Switch official? What do you mean, Retro Daria Gaming? You're on a development team or some shit like that? You got a Nintendo Switch dev kit? Oh, that's what's up, bro. What game you making and shit, man? Come okay, you to your messenger settings and find me and unblock me. YouTube? What do you mean YouTube? Like the band YouTube? YouTube, you're indie dev. I got you. That's what's up, Retro. That's what's up. That's awesome. You make some awesome games and shit, man. What's the plan for this live stream, K2 Genesis? This live stream is all about not settling. This is going to be a podcast. This is not gaming. If you are here because you think we're going to be doing some gaming today, sorry to disappoint you, but really not sorry because, you know, I'm never really ever fucking sorry about shit. You know, I am who I am and I'm 100% unapologetically me. Very simple. But if you're expecting to watch some gameplay today, that will be tomorrow and Friday. So, yeah. But today we're going to be discussing, I guess we can just jump right into it, man. Today we're going to be discussing the subject of not settling and, you know, giving yourself permission to be great. Welcome to today's podcast. Welcome to today's Live More podcast. You know, my vision is to be able to inspire others to liberate themselves from their own self-imposed limitations, for everyone to be able to wake up every day and live, not just simply exist, to allow themselves to dream big and fail big, to bring fulfillment to their own lives, to free yourself, and by doing so, unconsciously giving those around you permission to do the same. At the end of it all, I want you to be able to say, I lived. I keep seeing movement on my camera up there. Shit. I led a life filled with joy, despair, excitement, sorrow, but most importantly, fashion. Yes, fashion, yo. Gotta be on fleek, right? Passion. Passion for life, passion for the intricacies that it has to offer. Again, if you guys have heard my mission, my vision statement, you know, it's what I stand for. It's what I love to do. It's what, when people ask me, what is that thing that you love to do? I love to share my ideas, my perspective, my message and shit like that. So thank you guys for tuning in today. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Again, if you are telling yourself that you're not awesome, I want you to change that shit, man. But what I wanted to discuss today is actually a conversation that I had with my mom yesterday. Conversation/discussion. It was, you know, again, the idea that we settle, the idea that we'd rather have an average life, a mediocre life, a common life, you know, we'd rather be, what is that word that I'm looking for? We'd rather be, the fuck is the word? It's kind of, it's another word for commonplace. What the fuck, man? Oh, you're here for me. That's what's up, bro. Thank you so much for that, K2. We'd rather be complacent in a way. There's another word that I'm looking for that I just can't. It just doesn't come to my mind. But I had the discussion with my mom yesterday because I honestly hate the way that her and my stepdad speak. They speak the shit, growing up with this opinion that they have, their belief system, the way that they were raised is, the example that I personally have, had growing up. And, ever since I first started working, I started working as a busboy at a local restaurant here. I was 15. I started working. Obviously, a lot of people way back in the day, they started working at what age? 6, 7, out in the fields and shit. So that's not to say anything where, I started working so young and shit. No, it's just from the moment that I started working, I started to understand one thing about myself and about the world. Again, I have a different view on it. I realized that at that place, it wasn't a place where you had 2 days off. You had 1 day off and you worked every other day. Obviously, 40 hours, but actually I was working roughly about 45 to 50 hours every single week while still going to school. I was in high school at the time. And I believe I started my first job whenever I was in 10th grade. So either which way, I was a busboy. And, one of the things that my mom has always told me that I kind of like inherited from my biological dad, who I don't know, obviously, different story and shit. If you guys want to know about that shit, link down in the description below. But she told me that I inherited his work ethic, that I'm a very hard worker. And so I always hit the ground running. Whenever I was at work, I was just working and working. And then I love the acquisition of money. I was like, man, I can get so much money. Obviously it was just fucking like minimum wage and shit. But then I could actually go buy my own shoes, buy my own clothes and stuff like that. Growing up in a single parent household, I grew up with the Payless shoes, Source shoes and shit like that, So obviously kids are cruel. Kids will pick on you because you don't have the brand name stuff, you don't have the brand name clothes, you don't have this X, Y, and Z situation, right? So I was that kid. So once I was able to, make my own money, I was like, dude, I can buy my own shoes. I can spend it on some Nikes. I still remember to this day the first pair of shoes that were brand name that I owned, and this was back when I was in 7th grade. My mom actually was able to buy them for me. They were some blue and white Nike Cortezes, for those of you guys that are familiar with shoes and shit. But yes, once I got my own job, I was able to buy my own stuff. And it became a habit. I just wanted to keep working and working and working. And, by the time I was in my senior year, I was just working like legitly. That's all I was ever fucking doing. I would get out of school. I would go to school for 2 periods. I was in a work program or some situation like that. And so I would go to school from 8:40 to about 11:30. I think it's what it was. It was two periods, block schedule. So Monday was 2 classes, the next day was 2 different classes, and vice versa, just keep rotating and rotating. And so then we would get out of school. I had a group of about like 4 or 5 friends that we'd get together. We'd go have lunch, and everybody goes their separate ways. We were all in the work program. I would go to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this isn't a place where you like a 3 to 6, 3 to 7. It's a 3 dash. So it was 3 to fucking close, essentially. So I would be there from 3 in the afternoon to like about 1:30 to 2 a.m. every single night. Wake up the next day, do the same shit over and over. And I got into this fucking cycle, this habit of always being there. That's, and then when I had that 1 day off, I didn't really do shit with my 1 day off. And so it was always just getting money. But for what reason? To acquire more materialistic things that really didn't mean shit. And that fucking like perception was always there, that we're always just working. And my mom, the other day, because obviously, for those of you guys that are familiar, I'm going to go kind of like fill out a background information situation here at about 3 o'clock. So I'm going to be here for a short time. So I'm going to try and jam pack as much as I can on today's podcast and shit. What's going on, Leonard? What's going on, Pink Lady? Thank you for dropping by. I greatly appreciate it. So competent. No, there's another word. I'll figure it out later. It's going to come to me. Watch. I'm going to be somewhere and it's going to be like, oh, that's the word that I was wanting to use. But yeah, so I fell into the situation. And then I'm going to go work at this job. And then my mom is like, she's always growing up, she's always had 2 jobs. So I'm going to go get this job, which is going to be part-time, later on in the afternoon. If I do get this job, I just got to go do the background check. I don't got shit on my fucking record, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously, some people have different requirements. And so she's saying, well, you can go test it out. If you like it, then I can go join you and, we can go together. And I'm like, your entire life you have, or the entire life that I've known, let's put it that way, from the moment that I've been born, from the moment that I've known you to be working, I've known you to be a hard worker, to have the job that where you're like just killing yourself to provide, to, to be the best mom that you can be. And for as long as I can remember, you've had 2 jobs. It's just been recently that I guess probably she's about to go on about a year or so that she's only had 1 job, but from the longest time, she's always had 2 jobs. And, she tells me, You can go test it out, see how it is, and then I can join you, and I can get a second job. And I'm like, why do you need another second job? Why are you trying to get more money? We have good shit. We're not lacking, we're not lacking. I understand the acquisition of more. I definitely understand that shit. But here's the thing. She wants to trade time for money, and I don't want her to fall into that habit anymore. Granted, we're still in that habit, but you gotta value your time so much more. What's going on, Gina? Thank you for dropping by. You gotta value your time so much more. You go to work, you probably get paid, minimum wage. Maybe you're on the upper end of the scale, like a little bit middle class type situation. Maybe you get 10, 12, 13, 14, $15. Some people make 20, if you're a specialist in your field, 30, 40, 50, $60 an hour or whatever, So you gotta value your own time so much more. And you also gotta stop trading time for money. Trade value for money. And so she came at me with that, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why do you want a second job? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to continue repeating this habit over and over? And, yesterday we had the discussion of, I got tired because, I see this like maybe at least on a weekly basis. You come home, your parents are stressed. They're talking about their boss, their coworkers, their shit workers. You're the one making the money for them because you're the one doing all the fucking work, or your boss is just a fucking dimwit that doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and yada yada. Insert X, Y, and Z reasons in here. And so this happens on a continual basis. Same thing with my stepdad. And the way that I feel is, that they're victimizing themselves. My mom has the ability to start her own business. She can honestly run her own business, but yet she gives me excuses. I don't know English very well. I don't want to deal with other people. I'm too old, insert X, Y, and Z excuse here, left and right, and you'd rather victimize yourself than actually go for something better. And she'd rather stay in the same place. And she told me, not everybody thinks the same. And it's so true. It's honestly true. She spoke the truth right there. Not everybody thinks the same way, because most people would rather just, settle. They'd rather, live this common, average, mediocre life, as opposed to going for something bigger, going for something great, living this super wonderful fucking life. And she is okay with that. And me growing up with that example, I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't want that. I want to give myself the permission to be great. I want to give myself the permission to just go out there and do the things that I set my mind to. I don't want to just settle for what everybody else is doing. Average has become a standard amongst people. If you go talk to your friends, they have standard average lives, right? They have a job, they're making money, they're providing, they have a house, they have an apartment, whatever it may be. Average has become a standard nowadays. And it's like, if you're trying to be great, who the fuck are you to be trying to be great? You got your small-minded friends like, oh, you'll never amount to that. You can't do that. It hasn't been done before. And you got this, this group of friends that is holding you back. And so therefore their voice becomes your voice, and you stop yourself from doing that damn thing that you wanted to do. So you settle. And I hate that shit. I honestly fucking dislike that. And, the more that I just listen to people talking, all they're doing essentially is just bitching and complaining. You'd rather bitch and complain and stay the same than go risk something and do something different. Again, guys, I'm telling you, my mom can have her own business. We could have gotten into real estate such a long ass time ago. We could have done it, but she has chosen. And this is where I say life comes down to decisions. The life that you're currently living is because of all the decisions that you have made up to this point. Hey, what's going on, Buzzbox? How you doing, bro? Thanks for dropping by, man. Greatly appreciate it. 2 weekend, he'd do odd jobs just to make that cash. Exactly. But what is the purpose of making that cash? I was stuck at work every fucking day. Granted, I wasn't making bukus of money, but I was making money where I had I had pocket change. I honestly had pocket change. But for what? I was stuck at work every fucking day. When I wasn't at work, I was at school. On that one day off that I had, I wasn't really doing much with the money. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to invest it into something bigger. I'm going to invest it into that. It wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't satisfying enough just to get money. I was like, what was the purpose of that? I was trading my time. And for what reason? I have an uncle who travels. He travels he travels to work. He's in construction. And so he travels. He leaves like on Sunday afternoon. I forgot exactly where he's at right now. He leaves on Sunday afternoon, doesn't come back to like Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon and shit. So he's away from home. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Four kids, right? Yeah, he's got 4 kids. He's got 4 kids. And obviously my aunts. So he's away from his family the entire week. He gets to see them. Half of the afternoon on Saturday, half of the morning on Sunday. That's 1 fucking day out of the week. You know, that's 52 times a year that's 52 days. Think about it. 52 days out of an entire year, out of 365 fucking days, he sees them 52 days. He is missing out on so much. Why? Because he's continuously working. Granted, he's making good money. He has, he has some investments. He's got a place that he rents out and some houses and shit. He has that, but he wants more. And he wants more, and this is where that greed factor comes into play. I understand the need to want more. Granted, I'm there. I love that shit. But he's going about it to where he's not spending time with his family. And, maybe he doesn't value that shit. I don't know. I value family in that aspect. But he's away from his family so much. His kids don't see them all that often, How can you trade that? How do you trade time away from your family for work, for the acquisition of money that's really not going to give you like this fulfilling life? It's not really going to satisfy you. And so this is where I go back to don't chase the money. Chase to make a difference, chase something that's going to like really fulfill you, that's going to make an impact, that's going to do something different than just, you can't take the money with you. Whenever you die, like on the funeral progression line, there's not a hearse with all your belongings. There's not a hearse with your fucking money that was in the bank. You can't take that shit with you. There's you just can't. You just can't. So I'm not saying don't get money. Obviously, make money. Use it as a tool to get the things that you want. If you want that fancy house because you grew up in squalor, love that shit. Love that shit. You want that fancy ass car, get it. Because that's been a dream for you. But don't make that shit, be the only thing you want. You should want more. And always raise the limit. Always raise the roof on what you believe is possible for yourself. Don't settle. Don't live this average, mediocre life because that's what everybody else is doing. Because that is the normal thing. Be different, exactly. Just be different. Do something more. Do something more with your life. Just live. Honestly, just live and stop existing. You're going to work on every day. You're waking up miserable. You're coming back home. And there's been studies. There's been studies where parents that go to work come back home stressed. The effect that it has on their kids. Most often than not. Again, you can look this up for yourself. You can Google this shit to be like exactly 100% sure. Parents who are going to work, coming back stressed, they create this environment at home that creates bullies. That's, if we're talking about, kids being bullies, the parent is at fault as well. But yet you're making the choice to get up every single day to go to work to this shitty job that is not fulfilling you. And yet you're just bitching and complaining about the job and you're being stressed out every fucking day. You're waiting for the weekend to come to feel alive. And then you don't do shit with your weekend. So you're living this fucking routine and it's just like, oh, this is all I deserve. This is all that life is. But life is so much more. And then the concept applies where life just sucks. If life honestly sucked, then you wouldn't have different people doing different shit. You wouldn't have people living in misery, and you wouldn't have people living their fucking dreams. It would apply the exact same way to everybody, but that's where your thinking is skewed. You think that life sucks, maybe because your circumstances, where you were raised, the shit that you were exposed to, because we are products of environments. It's your choice to either follow along the example that has been chosen for you, that's been given to you, because yes, you can't be choosy and picky, and you don't get a choice to say, oh, I'm going to be born here, I'm going to be born to this family, it just happens. You were born, you were dealt a hand, and so therefore you got to choose what you're going to do with that shit. Are you going to become something more? Are you going to become something greater? Or are you just going to allow yourself to become like everybody else is around you? And I hate that shit, man. I honestly, what's going on, Emerald? How you doing, bro? Thanks for dropping by, man. It's this thing that I honestly really dislike. Like, why do you settle? If you guys have heard the, how does it go? what is it called? What is it called? I can't really remember it. Our deepest fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. Think about it that way. Like me growing up, you know, I've always felt that I was intellectually, you know, I wouldn't say better, but I was able to grasp, you know, mathematics. I was able to grasp science, you know. In school, I was, you know, a student that was on the honor roll. I got good grades, you know. And then that's where, like, I guess you can call me a fucking nerd, whatever the fuck you want to call me. And that's the thing. I was afraid to shine. I was afraid to use my quote unquote gifts because I was able to understand these subjects, and I diminished my value so others around me wouldn't feel insecure. But that's the fucking complete opposite. You'd rather choose to be average because everybody else is around you is average, and you'd rather not risk getting picked on because you're smart. You know, obviously we hear this shit a lot, you know, teacher's pet, you know, the smartest kid in class is the one that gets picked on because, you know, they'd rather pick on the people, they'd rather bully them than look at themselves and see what the fuck is not working in their own life. And, you know, the cycle fucking continues. So I was that kid in school that I'd rather, to a certain point, because up until 5th grade, I was straight A student, on a roll. I was perfect attendance. You know, I was that kid that I was doing it all. I was teacher's pet. I was, you know, whatever the fuck you want to call me. You know, I was a nerd, geek, bullshit, whatever the fuck you want to call me. And then 6th grade came around and I stopped doing that. 7th grade came around and I stopped doing that. I stopped being that overachiever, and I just kind of like, you know, I went average. You know, I became a thug, whatever bullshit you want to call it, and I became average. And, you know, in 4th grade, I was reading at a senior college level. In 4th grade, guys, let that shit sink in. I loved reading so much that I would read a fucking book a night. Back when Goosebump books were the shit. Every single day I'd check one of those out, you know, super simple, very thin books and shit. But I loved reading. I loved, you know, that imagination. And, you know, I read the Dr. Dolittle book. There was the Moby Dick book, you know. And the reason why I liked it is because you read a book. They had this AR reading program bullshit where you read a book and then you could take a test on the computer, and like if you answered the questions right, you would get, you know, little points. And then once you acquired so many points, they would take you like to this little AR store where like your points were like cash or money, and you could buy little things. You could buy buckmarks, erasers, pencils, you know, spirals or whatever bullshit, and then you got a certificate, right? So I was always that kid in all of our pep rallies that was getting my name called out because I loved reading so much. And then eventually it got to a point where, you know, the opinions of others mattered more than the vision that I had for myself. I no longer wanted to be the kid that raised my hand to answer that question. I no longer wanted to be the kid that read perfectly. You guys know what I'm talking about. The teacher says, okay, so you're going to read from here to here. Then the next student's going to read from here to here, the next student, and so forth. And until we read one page, and that's how we're going to read a chapter and shit. So I would always hear all the other kids. They would be struggling with words, like they couldn't pronounce this word, and then I would pay attention to what it is that they couldn't pronounce. And then when it was my turn, I could read that fucking shit perfectly, not to be sounding conceited and shit. But again, I was able to read better because I took it upon myself to want to read. I was reading so much better. I was reading at a higher grade level than kids, and this was in fucking 9th grade. You know, so I would dumb myself down. You know, the teacher would come to me, and I know the teacher knew. I know the teacher knew because she would give me this look like, I know you're just fucking doing this on purpose. I know this. And so, you know, I'd get to a word that kind of like looks somewhat difficult and shit, and then I kind of like, you know, mispronounce it, and that way the teacher would correct me. And that way I wouldn't single myself out as being a smart kid, as being the, you know, I wouldn't shine, so to speak, because I cared more about the opinions of others. So I settled. So I completely understand that, you know, I completely understand making the choice of settling, making the choice to be average. And, you know, again, like this little voice in the back of my head tells me like, no, there's more to life, but I'm choosing to not see that path. I'm choosing to not go for that shit. And I love that now, speaking about this, I am the happiest that I've ever been. I know on Discord from time to time I have put it where I talk about how I feel like there's this hole in my life where I'm just not happy. Honestly, the way that I changed, you know, the way that I spoke to myself, you know, whenever I said that I underwent, and I'm still currently undergoing this journey of 1,000 steps. It has changed my mentality, has changed the way that I view myself, the vision that I have for myself, the fact that there is so much more that I can accomplish, that I can do. I am the happiest that I have ever been. And I'm so thankful for that. And I wish that you guys would just acknowledge that and just change the way that you see yourself. Again, you guys are perfect just the way you are right now for the current life that you're currently living. That doesn't mean don't chase the next version of yourself, but it means love yourself for the person that you currently are. And that is such an amazing thing, because we always look at ourselves and we're looking at what we're missing, not what we have. And I really dislike that. But, you know, so I decided to undergo that transformation for myself. And it's great. I love it. I am the happiest that I have been in such a long time. Rip Goldcock. What happened to the Goldcock, man? It's awesome to be smart. Don't let people pick on you because you're smart. The bullies were just jealous because exactly, that's all it is. Because they themselves don't understand the material that is being handed to them. Maybe, you know, and that's where, like, you know, to me, school has a really flawed system, because there's certain kids that are, you know, auditory learners. There's certain kids that are like hands-on learners and, you know, more visual. And so you have different ways of learning. And so then school kind of like applies this standardized way of, you know, teaching. So some kids just fall through the cracks, and then they get frustrated because they just don't understand the material. And then therefore they don't have that person that's pushing them, and then they don't have that person that believes in them, even when they don't believe in themselves. So then they just fall further through the cracks, and they get mad, they get frustrated, and they'd rather like lash out towards other kids who are understanding this, who get this, but they so deeply want somebody to believe in them, and they just don't have that shit, you know? Maybe it's their parents. They're too busy with work. They can't help them out with, you know, schoolwork or, you know, whatever it is, vice versa, and they just fall through the cracks. So I definitely understand that, man. I definitely understand that. Hey, no problem, man, bro. No problem, bro. No problem. I definitely understand that, bro. We all go through stuff. You know, take as much time as you need, man. Take as much time as you need. I've been given a chance to change my life, and I'm gonna take it head on. There you go, Buzzbox. Exactly, bro. Just, you know, take that shit. Take charge. Go for it. Do some awesome shit. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys dropping by, taking some time, and, you know, just, you know, hearing me out and stuff like that, man. But yes, that is some of the things that I honestly dislike, that we just we'd rather settle for average. We'd rather settle for this mediocre way of existing, as opposed to just like truly living every single day. And I can't tell you what that thing is for you that's going to make you come alive, that's going to make you feel like you are actually living. For some people, it's traveling. For some people, it's creating art. For some people, it's playing video games, you know, whatever it is. For everybody, it's a bit different. So there's no like one size fits all. It's up to you to figure out what that thing is for you. But one thing that I know is that roughly, I forgot what the statistic was, but I think it's somewhere like upwards of like 70% of Americans go to a job that they honestly fucking despise. And if work is the place that you're going to spend most of your time at throughout your entire lifetime, shouldn't it be something that makes you come alive? Shouldn't it be something that you're passionate about? I mean, otherwise, what are you doing? You're just prolonging your existence. You're not really waking up. You're not really springing out of bed to do something that you fucking love. And the way that I equate this is back whenever I was younger, you know, whenever I remember this with God of War, you know, for those of you guys that are familiar with the God of War franchise. When I first started playing God of War, you know, I was like, oh shit, this is the shit, right? I loved that game. And, you know, so you want to be there like all fucking day, like all hours, right? You'd stay up late as fuck, you know, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning and shit. You know, your mom calls you for dinner and you don't fucking go for dinner because you're fucking too busy playing this game. And then you go to bed and like your mind is just racing and you can't go to bed because all you want to do is play the fucking game. And then you might get back up again, play for like another 30 minutes and then go back to bed. But then the moment that your eyes open up in the morning, you spring out of bed. No matter if you got 2 or 3 hours, you're out of bed because you want to fucking continue playing this video game. You have that drive, you have that initiative, that passion, that thing just kind of like makes you fucking snap out of it, instead of, you know, waking up in the morning like, oh man, 10 more minutes. Oh, 20 more minutes. Oh, fuck. I gotta get up. I gotta go to work, you know? And so I equate it to that, like that feeling as a little kid. And granted, it's just a fucking video game, but it's something that I wanted to get up and do. And so therefore I couldn't wait till the next day, or whenever your parents would tell you that they're gonna take you to Chuck E. Cheese or, you know, whatever, you know, some equivalent of some place that you've been wanting to go for such a long time. So Saturday morning comes up and boom. You know, you normally hate waking up for school, right? You fucking wake up like late as fuck for school every fucking day. But Saturday, bright and early, right? That passion, that drive, that for you wanting to go to that place, you know, whether it's an amusement park, it's a place that you've been wanting to go eat at for the longest fucking time, you would wake up, right? I want everybody to have that on a continuous basis every single day. Wake up and do something you're passionate about. If you want to travel the world, find out ways to figure out how you can accomplish that. Maybe there's probably something different out there for you that, that aligns with your goals. But man, I really hate seeing people just kind of like, waste away and just exist. It's something that really, really, it disappoints me to the point where, these people aren't realizing their full potential. They're not realizing that they could do more, that they could get more, because if hard work was the only thing required to make it in life, man, my mom would fucking have that shit. Most of your parents would fucking have that shit, right? Because we can honestly say that our parents are fucking hard workers, right? They dedicate so much time and effort, and they work hard. They work effortlessly. Man, I can't fucking speak English, man. And they do this. But if they would just apply this hard work, this hard working ethic to this other thing, I guarantee you they could do so much more. They could accomplish so much more, but they'd rather settle for what it is that they currently have. And we ourselves are allowing that shit to happen. We'd rather settle than go for those things that we want. And I honestly, I'm very disappointed in that shit. And whenever I had that discussion with my mom yesterday, I try to make her see my point, but at the same time, she was like, not everybody thinks the same. And I completely understand. Not everybody thinks the same. For some people, it's okay to just live this common life. But, I see that and I'm like, man, you could do so much more. It's like seeing that kid that, graduated from, have you guys get the chance, watch this movie, Take Me Home Tonight. It has Anna Faris. It has Topher Grace, the guy that played Eric in that 70s show. It's got the guy that plays in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't remember his name currently right now. He was also in Jurassic World. Forgot his name. I can't remember his name, but it's got him in it. And the movie is about, Topher Grace's character, who he graduated from MIT. He graduated from MIT. He was top of the class. He was like destined for greatness, and he let fear get in the way where he hasn't tried shit in life, and he works at a fucking Suncoast video store. Got this banging ass fucking degree from MIT, and he's working at a video store. How many times have you heard that story before where they got this fucking college graduate degree, and yet they're working at, a supermarket. They're working at McDonald's. They're working at a local food restaurant. They're working at, X, Y, and Z place right here, right? But yet they got this degree. Granted, some people get these degrees in fields that they're not even fucking interested in. It's just they're like, fall back on, plan type situation. You guys heard that shit, I'm going to fall back on this. I'm only getting this degree to fall back on in case this doesn't pan out. But yet whatever the thing that is that was supposed to be the goal, you didn't actually dedicate enough time into that. And the backup plan actually became the plan. Because your parents, emphasize, have a backup plan, have something to fall back on just in case it doesn't work out. I don't know where this story comes from, but it's kind of like, spoken here and there in a lot of the speeches that I talk about. There's a colonel or a general, who's leading troops, and they're supposed to overtake this island. And so the way that you ensure that you're going to take this island is he shows the troops that all the boats are burnt. There's no way back. We can't retreat. We either take this island or we die doing it. And so that you got to take that approach, man. You either get this thing or you die trying, right? If you hear Will Smith talking a lot about his work ethic, he says, man, I'm not afraid to die on this treadmill. One of two things is going to happen. You're going to get off that treadmill, or I'm going to die on this fucking treadmill, because he's not afraid to die for the things that he wants. And that's an amazing fucking thing. Another thing that I fucking heard that I really that I was like really surprised at like the example that they use, and I was like, dude, it's so fucking right. Whenever you have a newborn, how long do you give them before you give up on them walking? How long do you give them? How many months do you give them to either learn to walk or not? There is no timeline, right? The mom is like, fuck that shit. My kid's going to walk, right? Doesn't matter if it takes 12 months. Doesn't matter if it takes 13 months, 14 months. My kid is going to learn to walk, right? There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My kid is going to learn to walk. And if we take that same fucking approach with everything that we do, there is no going back. There is no stopping. There is no getting this thing. Whenever you set that shit in your mind, you go for that shit. You run after that shit with blood, sweat, and tears. You burn those boats because there is no retreating. There is no going back. There is no failing. You either get that thing or you fucking die trying. And whenever you realize that shit, whenever you put that so much motivation, because again, motivation is shit. If it all falls back on your rituals and habits that you have set out on a daily basis for the thing that you want to do, because not every day is going to feel like the perfect day. You're not going to want to do this every single day. You're not going to want to get up and hammer on the fucking projects that you got to do. You're not going to want to get up and go running, but you do it anyways, right? Because you know that at the end of that pain and suffering is the greatness that you want for yourself. And so when I heard that thing about the baby, like for real, like there is no mom out there on the world that would be satisfied with their kid not walking, you know. If they didn't walk, you know, by the age of 1, oh, well, he's just not going to walk, you know. He's one of those kids that's just not going to walk. No bullshit, right? You keep on trying to teach the kid to walk, and then, you know, 11 months comes around, he's still not walking. And it's time to give up. I'm not going to teach him how to walk. No, you keep on fucking trying, right? Same thing with everything in life. You keep on fucking trying, you get that thing. You know, you hear so many stories about people who have had so many fucking failures and shit, but you only hear that after they have made it, right? Because you hear the success story, and then they actually tell you all the failures that they had in life, you know, the perseverance, the determination that they had to continue doing it. And that's when you find out, like, oh, man, this is hard work. It's like, you know, people that want to be on YouTube, you know, they see the Casey Neistats, they see the Markipliers, they see the PewDiePies, you know, and like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. They see the Logan Pauls and shit, Jake Pauls. And then they try it, and they're there for a month, and they see that it's like hard work. It's like actual grinding. But their reason for doing it is it doesn't have a big why. There's no big why. There's no big reason for wanting to do it. They just see, you know, Markiplier's doing it. I can do it, you know. But then like they're there like a month into it, like, fuck, man, I'm not getting any traction. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know, I'm putting out videos, but it's not working. And they quit. And then therefore they quit, you know, because their reason isn't big enough. You got to have that big enough reason, that big why. You know, dig deep. What is it that you're going to acquire, and why are you going to acquire it? Why is it a must have? You know, it's not the should I's. Should I do this? I should do that. You know, I could do this. No, it's the shit that you got to have. It's the shit that you must have above all else. You know, when you get to that point where you're like, you know, oh, you know, it's not I should lose 10 pounds, it's I must lose 10 pounds. You're gonna fucking do that. You know, the shit that gets scheduled is the shit that gets done. Hence why I put a fucking schedule on my wall that I'll see every fucking day, because it's the shit that gets done. You know, if it's in my mind, oh, you know, I could do it, I can put that off, I can do it tomorrow. Because my discipline sucks ass, guys. Honestly, my discipline fucking sucks ass. I'm a lazy person. If I allowed myself to be lazy, I would be fucking sleeping till 2 in the fucking afternoon, staying up to like 3 or 4 in the damn fucking morning and shit. And I wouldn't be doing shit. I wouldn't be productive as fuck. Granted, right now I could be doing more. I honestly can be doing more. I can be more productive. But, you know, baby strides, right? Baby steps, you know, do more every single day. Therefore, you know, a year down the road, you'll be a better person than you were a year before that, right? So baby steps do count. You know, there's the progress concept. You know, if you do one thing that's going to like help you get towards your goal, one thing every day, it's better than doing nothing. You know, one thing, it's simple. You can do that. You can accomplish that. Just do that. Then do another thing the next day. Then do another thing the next day. And that progress, you know, kind of feeds your mind. Like, you know, you slowly start to become the person that actually gets shit done. And then the next day, like a week, 2 weeks after, like, bro, I can do 2 things. And then 3 things. And then eventually, like, you become more productive. You build the habits of, you know, that are of a productive person, the habits and the rituals. And therefore, whenever it comes down to the day where you're just not feeling like doing that, you do it anyways. Because it's a habit and it's a ritual that you do, because it becomes a thing that you do in your normal day life. You become a productive person, whether you want to or not, because it's your habit now. So you feel something wrong whenever you're not doing that thing, because it's been a habit. It's like the person that is quitting smoking. You know, they eat while they're smoking, you know, they drink while they're smoking, they live their entire day while they're smoking. And so therefore, whenever they don't have that cigarette in their hand, they feel off, right? Because it's a habit. It's a different ritual that they got to, like, you know, they got to break out of it. They got to, you know, replace it with something more productive and something that's not detrimental to yourself. And so you've seen the commercials, you've seen like the little fucking adverts and shit about how, you know, you got to live a bit different whenever you don't have that cigarette, you know, because again, it is different, you know, not having that habit. You're like, what the fuck? I feel different. I feel odd. I feel like this isn't right. And so it's a different habit that you got to formulate. So you got to build habits that are going to, you know, be productive for the shit that you want to do. You know, take it in stride, you know, do it right now. You know, just take massive action, make a decision, you know, commit to yourself. that you're going to do that thing, that you're not going to be average, that you're not going to fucking settle just because everyone else around you tells you can't do this, it can't be done. You can't do it. Somebody else might, but you can't, you don't possess the skills. You don't possess the knowledge. I didn't even know that 24-hour marathons were a thing until today. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, imagine a person continuously running for 24 hours. I didn't think that was a thing that was fucking possible, but apparently it is. I was like, dude, that is like that is a lot of mental conditioning, a lot of physical conditioning to run straight for 24 hours. Mind you, may not be like at full stride for 24 hours, but you like jogging or whatever, but you just don't stop. That is something fucking incredible. You imagine the limitations that people have got to break through to get to that point. I can't fucking do that. I didn't even know it was fucking possible until today, But yeah, you got these mofos running like, upwards of 100 miles in like one stint. And I'm like, dude, it's crazy to think about. This I forgot this guy's name, but his story is like fucking incredible. 297 pounds. He's 24 years old. He's working at Ecolab. Like a sperm, not a spermicide, pesticide. I was gonna say spermicide for those of you guys that are familiar with the thing that they fucking condoms with. But a pesticide. So he's he's 24 years old. He's spraying for roaches, spraying for rodents and shit. And one day he just has this like, man, this is what my life has come down to. Fuck. And he just decides to up and do something more. He wants to do different. So he does. And now he's like one of the fucking top motherfuckers running these marathons. And, from 297 pounds, imagine the transformation needed to do that. The mental focus needed to do that, to where now he's doing like these fucking 24-hour marathons that I didn't even know fucking existed, man. That's like legit awesome to me. It should be inspiring at the very least. The fact that, you can see a person do that, a person that has broken through so many limitations, physical limitations and mental limitations. And you look at yourself and you say, oh, I can't do that. Well, think about it this way. If one person has done it, that means that you can do it as well. All you got to do is change your mentality. All you got to do is think different, not be average. You want to have more, just go for that shit. Do it. Live it. Don't fucking settle, man. Be great. Give yourself the permission to be great. I can go on about this guy's like forever in a day, man. But you guys are awesome. Again, this is a short podcast, just for the simple fact that I got to head out right now. I got to go fill out the paperwork for that stuff, man. But you guys are great. Thank you so much for listening. Greatly appreciate it. Again, guys, whenever I do these podcasts, I don't really pay so much attention to the chat. I completely understand that. I just feel a little bit better doing it live because I know that there's somebody there on the opposite side of the camera. Whereas if I was just recording, I'd be like, who the fuck am I talking to, right? So I'm not trying to ignore you guys. Just understand that I go on a rant and like in my mind, like I have so many different things that I want to say where like I'm talking about one thing and then like in my mind, something else pops in. But then by the time that I actually get done with this thought, this other thought is gone. And yeah, I know, guys. But thank you so much, guys, for dropping by, man. Greatly appreciate it. Again, guys, stop existing. Live your life. Really enjoy that shit. Get up every day. Find that thing. Find that passion for yourself. Get up every day and just go after that shit, man. I know some people will tell me if you have too high enough of a goal, you may lead a life in disappointment because you may never attain that shit. And the thing that I would rebuttal with is, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, if you never attain that goal, you might be disappointed. But here's my question. Are you getting up each and every single day and going after that shit? Or are you sleeping 14 hours a day and not doing shit to work towards that goal? Because if you're getting up every single day and you're grinding for that shit, and every day you take a step closer, and every day you take another step closer, and then the next day another step closer, and then start taking 2 steps and 3 steps, and you're getting further than you thought you could have, as opposed to just sitting there and bitching and complaining that like, oh, it's too hard. You're looking at the fucking big wall and you haven't even started laying one brick. The fucking saying applies here. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Same fucking thing, man. You're saying, oh, if you have too high enough of a goal, you're never going to reach it. You're going to be disappointed. I guarantee you will get further if you're always trying to attain that shit. If you're hungry for that shit. you will keep on going and you will make that shit happen. It's like the same concept applies here. If you reach for the stars, you may only land on the moon. But if you only reach for the moon, you may land in the clouds, right? So the higher you reach, the more that you want to attain and the harder you will work. So I will always say, have that fucking super outlandish goal. Have that fucking ceiling set so fucking high that you can't even set that shit, man. Don't have that fucking glass ceiling that, you know, just stops you. Whenever the salesperson at the automobile shop is making more than the fucking manager, they put a glass ceiling over you because you're making so much on commission that at a certain point, you can't make any more, because that would mean that you're making more than the manager. You're making more than this person. So they set a glass ceiling for you. Set that fucking ceiling so high that you always got something that you want to attain, something that you're gonna want fucking like want to run towards every single day, and you will push yourself every single day, and you will see that you can do so much more than you actually can. You know, your body will break, your mind will break so much further than the actual place that you think it will. You know, you got so much more. You're limitless whenever you start to actually see it. Whenever you're pushing it and you're pushing it, and like that moment is just like, I want to give up. You give up, you give up. But if you actually push forward and you push forward and you push forward, you will realize that you have so much more to give. Before that mentality comes into play, like, I want to give up. You got so much more to give. You just got to be willing to put in the work. But is that mentality telling you like, oh, I only have this much. I'm only worth this much. I only deserve this much. You're worth so much more. Stop existing. Start living some more, guys. Greatly fucking appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Very long-winded outro. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. If I don't happen to drop back in later on today, I will see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna be playing some Super Marissa Land. For those of you guys that are familiar with that, it's a remake of Super Mario World, or inspired by Super Mario World, or something along those lines. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. I gotta go fill out this background check, and I will see you guys then. Thank you so much, guys.